This is wild. Welcome back to the channel. As you guys know, this frame is pretty rough. We have a giant rot hole in the bottom. In this video, guys, I'm gonna show you how to install my Gusset kit. Got some instructions. Just wanted to motivate you guys with this cool sign that I bought, I think 12 years ago. I run into a frame like this, I have to read this sign and just remind myself that it's okay. Just gotta put on my big girl panties and I'm good to go. So first off, we're gonna start this by removing all of this bubble gum on here. Now this tube was added in, like I was trying to tell you guys the other day in the other video. Now the reason they did this, they were basically converting it from this style to the newer style. I'm going back to this motor mount. I plan on making this out of maybe billet or something cooler. I just like the fact that this is considered like a wear item. Now let's say that you start to crack, I can just pull this out, change it with the swing arm. It's not a big deal. This is permanently welded to the frame, so if I can swap this out quickly versus having this stuck to the frame, that makes me happy. Now we do have motor mounts in our Gusset kit. We're not going to install them on this frame because ironically these are in perfect shape along with the lowers. The only thing that's bad is this back section. So basically whatever they added to the frame needs to get removed. Now the way this kit works, when you get it, we have everything tabbed together. So you can simply just break it off. And it's not that easy, but it comes off just like that. Cut that off and you're good to go to weld it on. Now every frame is slightly different. These are MIG welded. Stuff pulls, stuff moves. I mean, obviously Honda uses a really nice fixture when they were building these back in the day, but you're gonna have to run into some issues where you might grind an edge, you might open up a hole just to get everything located the way you want it. But as you can see, it actually fits really nice. And then we're looking for minimal gaps. So like this gap right here is fine. We're gonna fill that with TIG weld. All right guys, let's get into it. Time to start cutting. Before we get going, let's figure out who won this swing arm. I said I would give this away. We're gonna go through, I think, 100+ comments and figure out who won this bad boy. So let's check it out.
All right, let's figure out who won the swing arm from our YouTube video.
There we go, Shane. Looks like you won the swing arm. So we got this top Gusset. Now, like I said, these frames are a little bit different based on how much gusseting Honda actually added to the chassis. So we're simply gonna take our top Gusset. So those corners are gonna get knocked off with the bandsaw and that should just slide right in because you can see it fits just like that. We just need this to come down. All right, it's bandsaw time. And again, you can do this any way you want. If you don't have a bandsaw, you can simply just break these apart and just grind the nubs off. I'm just gonna use my bandsaw. Dude, if I was Drew, I'd take this thing and just throw it in the dumpster. I'm not even kidding. That was way too slow. All right, so now we're gonna go to time lapse. So you guys can see I've got that fitting pretty nice. It's actually just resting in there. Now, a couple tools to make the job easier. If you are TIG welding, I recommend cleaning all your edges. I also recommend some magnets, make your life a little easier. If you don't have that, you can use a clamp, or you can just use the hands that God gave you. Little hammer. Gotta put the big girl panties on and get to it. I'm just gonna tack the gussets on. We're gonna finish weld later on. So we've just got a generic Eastwood TIG that we use for mock-up and tacking. And we've got the Everlast welders in the other welding room. That's how we're gonna finish weld it. But in this video, we're gonna show you guys getting all the gussets placed, get them where they gotta go. Now we're gonna run a little bit lower heat because these gussets are slightly thicker than the frame tubing. So you're gonna wanna try to put most of your heat, if you are MIG welding, definitely put most of your heat onto the gusset and let the weld roll over to the frame material. I've got ground for the welder is actually right here. I do that so I can spin this thing around, because I will get frustrated if this cord is starting to get snagged. So I simply just ground it to my bench, and then this is grounding to the bench. Works great. So you can see I just melted that material down to the frame. I'm doing that just for my tacks. Obviously we're gonna go back and finish weld this. Now I am gonna use a little bit of filler on these corners. This welder has the hand trigger. Super nice for mocking up, super nice for tacking. Don't gotta mess around with the foot pedal. We will be using the foot pedal when we do the finish welding. I'm gonna go ahead and tack it. Nice shiny weld. You don't want welds like this guy. This is something I had to put the big girl panties on to deal with. I don't know if there's like a beehive going on right there. It's pretty wild. But yeah, excited to take this frame and make it mint, guys. It's what we do. No reason to throw it away, even though it looks like that. Got a little Swiss cheese under there. I was kind of curious what the sandblasting was going to do to it. It's literally paper thin, but I'll show you guys how to fix that. See how nice that fits in there? Now I'm gonna go ahead and grind my edges. All right, we're getting somewhere. Now, my wife had a question about having a little gap in the back there. Now, you don't have to fill that. You can actually just leave that open so that dirt and water can just push out the back of the gusset, because if not, you're gonna have everything collect on the backside. So it's your call on what you wanna do there. I've done both. On this one, I'm probably just gonna leave a little gap. It's nice to have a drainage hole. You can see Honda has drainage holes from all their stuff. See, like right there, for example, in the center. It just allows water to escape. Same thing here. Obviously the water didn't escape too well here. Looks like the guy went in some salt water. Don't really know. All right, so like I was saying, guys, this motor mount's in really good shape, but we also do have some little gussets that kind of just double gusset backside of the motor mount. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that on there on each side. All right. Now I am bouncing around because I'm trying to show you guys what to do, and I can basically just do one of each, and then I'm gonna go back to time lapse after getting this in. You guys will see me finish it off, but I was getting excited, so I moved on to this one. So that's gonna be just like that guy. So we're gonna start by center this up the best we can to the hole. So this bottom corner is bumping one of their welds. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take that off of there so I can drop it down. we're getting there. So you can see that's clearing the weld now. Now this piece that they welded on is bumping it up because I want to close this gap up a little bit. So I'm just going to take a little bit of material off the backside right here. Grinding those edges, not bad. You guys can see how this is how it was. There's nothing there, it's the tab. And now we're basically boxing this whole assembly. Now it's important that this does run down to this tube, because this will crack here, it'll crack here, and it'll generally crack here. So you guys can see all of this structure that we're putting into this frame. Now the next step, we've got to fill this in. Just like the handy instructions say. Curve these to fit angle of gusset. Now that's easier said than done. I'll show you guys how to curve this if you don't have like an anvil or a fancy tool. So we're gonna go over to the bench vise. You can do it on the edge of the table too, but we're gonna use the bench vise. It's a little quicker. I'm assuming you guys have a vise you're installing your gusset kit. Keyword assuming. Edge of the table, just kind of palm it like Tim Sr. would say. And just work it down, get a little curve going. So we need a little more of a curve. Generally about right here in the center, but it's coming together. Actually doesn't look too bad, does it? Could be worse. All right, so right now what I'm seeing is to get this to fit where I'm happy with it, so I'm not looking to bubble gum it. And take a little bit off this edge. You guys can see that weld in there. I don't want to disturb that weld, so I'm going to take my gusset. We're going to go around that weld just like that. Instead of doing it twice, do it all together. So when you go to your belt sander, or you're going to be grinding them, you can generally curve both of them the same while you're doing it, because it's easier to do it while you have your template in your hand. So grab your other piece, do the curving now, and then let's check the other side. So same deal on this side. We've got a weld here. So this other side is going to be a mirror of that. So we're going to do the same thing to this one as we do to this one. Now I'm going to just get this one done for video sake. That's how I would do it. While you have the curve figured out, you might as well just make two at a time. You guys get the rough idea of how I'm doing that. Again, we're adding in a bunch of structure to this. We're boxing it. Now we've got this lower one too. It's going to be the same exact process. See, it's a little bit shorter than the top one. So I'm going to go ahead and get that bent. Happy with that. Now you're probably wondering why this piece is extended. That's to tie it into the bottom tube. Very important. Take this structure, you want to cross over this weld and tie it into this tube as far as you can. We've accomplished that with this Gusset kit. It's fully boxed. Once we finish weld it, it's gonna look like it was meant to be there. All right guys, now for the not so fun part. I'm gonna get this addition they did to the frame. We're gonna get that ripped out of there. I'm gonna try using the Sawzall. If that doesn't work, we're gonna break out the plasma cutter. That was fun. Just want to show you guys what came off. This is why I cut it off. Now, I've seen this done quite a bit in the past, which you can do what this was, but because this was in rough shape, I decided to just pull it off. So you can see the welds are very cold welds, not really doing a whole lot. However, they were holding it on pretty well. They did match up the thickness of the tubing to the frame. Now when they tried bending it, you can see they must have just notched that and then just welded it back together on both sides. Pretty nasty. And then these lower motor mounts right here, you can just see the caterpillar looking weld that's sitting on top of the on top of it. So this is going to get completely ground off. This guy up here is going to get ground off too, just so it's back to factory. And like I was saying, we're going back to this motor mount. This one's going to get tied to the motor. Pivot bolt's going to go through. Lock it in just like that. I'm a fan of these. They work well. As long as you have your frame gusseted and you're running a head stay, everything will hold up pretty well. And so now the fun part, guys. I'm not going to bore you with all the grinding, but I will cut this out so you guys can see how I'm going to fix that real quick. And it's probably not going to be quick, but let's get this cut out. Let's see what we can do with it. This is wild. So like I was saying, guys, having that drainage area, like I said earlier in the video, it's super important. That's just dirt collected in this corner. So it looks to me like some wet dirt got in here. Kind of just did what it did, man. It ruined it. So I'm gonna carefully just keep cutting. I could get the plasma cutter out. The problem is when you plasma cut, it's gonna push heat to the other side. It's probably gonna burn through the opposite side, and I don't wanna do that. Depending on how thick that top plate is, I might double plate each side of this. But yeah, let's keep cutting. Interesting. Yeah, it's thin. See all the rot that happened. Luckily, it's really all the damage is on the bottom. It's a little bit on the top, but she's pretty much all there. We're gonna try this real quick. All right, so we got a little secret weapon. It's an air saw blade. My old Snap-on guy, Tom, actually got me onto using these bad boys. You don't have to use them on the small saw. You can use them on this guy too. That's why I like them. Shit was nasty. Thing what's gonna happen is, guys, we're gonna double plate this, and I'm actually gonna hide the top plate. I'm gonna bury it inside this hole. So I'm gonna cut a smaller one. It's gonna fit inside there. We're gonna tag it around the edges. We're gonna put a bunch of vent holes in it so it can't hold water. And then a new plate is gonna get cut out and put on top of this. And I'm actually gonna go back and hand file all these edges and just get it perfect. All right. Take your dirty fingers and just rub the edges. Going to be pretty close to what we want. I can cut on that line and go back to it after. Do some touch up. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take this to the computer. I'm going to scan it in. I'm going to start with a rectangle box. I'm going to do all this perfectly in the computer so it's completely straight. I'm going to take my measuring tape and get a couple measurements on the inside of these tubes. And then all of these edges right here, this is all going to get brought back flush with this tube. I might even bring it a little farther than flush. So when we weld this plate in, we can connect to this piece, to the tube, and then to our new piece all the way around. And that's going to be after this is blasted, obviously. We're going to double plate it. So I'll do one that's this dimension, and then I'll shrink it down about 1/8 inch all the way around, drop the next plate in. It's going to go right inside there. So hope that helps you guys. Stay tuned for the next video. I'm going to show you guys how I tackle that and turn this into a piece of metal. Cut it out. We can hand cut it, we can plasma cut it. I'll probably use my plasma cutter just because I want to save that for future projects and possibly offer it to you guys in case anyone ever needs a repair part. So if you guys enjoyed this video, and you like seeing 250R frames get restored, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to us. We've got a lot of cool content coming in the future. The following video is actually be tearing the motor apart, and this bike's going to start going back together. We've already got some shocks ordered. We're starting to build some A-arms. We're going to get the swing arm built for it. There's a bunch of cool parts that are going to get built for this project. And head over to bbcoffroad.com if you're in need of a Gusset kit. We'll see you guys in the next video.